Hello, everyone. Today we're going to continue our reading of Agrippa or pseudo-Agrippa's of Geomancy. So this was a 16th century text on geomancy. And in these videos, we go over some of the 16th century sources on geomancy, okay? And we also go over some of these classical magical practices. So if you're watching these videos and if you're doing the actual practices and the exercises, then you should come out of this being Renaissance magicians, okay? So, if you're watching this live or watching these videos daily as we go through them, so I'm currently cycling through the 72 angels of the Shem, and each time it's a new angel, I talk about it, and I like to share about it. And a lot of people are working with these angels using this timing. So following the sun through the tropical zodiac, following the sun through the zodiac, okay, there are different ways to do this, but there are many people around the world that following this system today. We just stopped working with Ayael. So right now, around the world, those that are using this form of timing, we are now going to we're going to be working with the next angel, Habuiah. Habuiah. So Habuiah governs agriculture, gardens, fertility, the outdoors, hunters, gardens, things like that, agriculture, the countryside. So that's interesting. An angel that governs fertility and the countryside and gardens and things like that. Okay, that is Habuiah. So that is the new Shem angel. Habuiah governs from 5 up until 10 degrees of Pisces. So based on the location of the sun in the tropical zodiac, right now, Habuiah. Okay, so those of you that are following along, if you're practicing the magic with us, so those of you watching at home, you could practice magic with me. Okay, we could all practice magic together. Now, if you're watching later on, then the same rules would apply to whatever angel, okay, that's going on right then. You could use the same principles. But for those of you that are watching right now, we can cycle through these angels together. Okay, so I encourage those that are online and watching, I encourage y'all to begin working with these angels, okay? And be sure if you have any interesting experiences. Now, be sure if you have a Shem angel experience, I think it's always a good idea to ask the angel if it's okay to talk about the experience. So that is just part of the tradition, is that we usually ask permission before we talk about it, okay, with anyone else. But if you want to share, be sure and put in the comments, did you have any kind of cool experience with these Shem angels? So, the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh, okay, those of you that are practicing the magic with us, right now, it has shifted, so now we are working with, now it's going to be Habuiah, Habuiah. Now, the first letter, now this has been written often with an H. Habuiah, Habuiah. Beginning with an H, Habuiah. However, the Hebrew letter is actually the Hebrew letter Het. Now, it's like, it could be seen as like a strong H sound. There's not really an exact equivalent in English, okay? It's a Ch. So, the Ch, it's like guttural from the throat. It's a Hebrew letter, the Hebrew letter Het. It's a Ch. It's almost kind of similar to like a French R, like a Ch, okay, but deeper, Ch. So, Ch, the Hebrew letter Het. Now, if that's difficult for you to do, then just using a Hebrew letter, just using the letter H is fine. You could just say Habuiah. Okay, many people have done that before. Just used Habuiah. So yeah. So Habuiah is the current Shem angel. Okay, and he governs for the next 5 days. Habuiah governs fertility, agriculture, gardens, the countryside, and things like that. So that's actually pretty interesting. Habuiah. And then, of course, we're going to continue our geomancy series, but I wanted to read a little bit about Habuiah for those of you that are watching. Okay. All right. So, hola, ¿cómo están ustedes que están escuchando que tal vez hablan español? Voy a hacer más contenido en español los fines de semana también. Ok, entonces voy a hacer más contenido en español también. Pronto, los fines de semana. Pienso en hacerlo el domingo. Domingo voy a tener más contenido en español también. Okay. So, and I wanted to read about this angel as well. So, actually, give me just a second. Give me just a moment, y'all. I'll be right back. And then we're going to go into this angel Habuiah, and then we're going to go into the geomancy. Okay, I'll be right back, y'all. All right, y'all. Y'all still with me over here? All right, y'all. So today we're talking about Habuiah. Habuiah, this Shem angel, like I said, governs agriculture, fertility, the countryside, gardens, and things like that. So how do we use that? How do we use that? Now, I would really encourage people, again, this Shem angel governs for the next 5 days. I really would encourage people that over the next 5 days to go spend a little time outside in nature and think of Habuiah. Okay, so that is in a sense kind of like getting in touch with its energy, you know, to go outside and get in touch with nature during this time and think of Habuiah. So as a way to kind of connect with that energy of the angel. So think of these things as like a way to connect with the angel. All right, getting in touch with its archetype. For example, if you're dealing with a spirit or a deity or whatever you're dealing with of the ocean, obviously going out and looking at the ocean is going to help you to connect, okay? If you're dealing with something associated with fire, being around the presence of a fire, these things help you to connect, okay? So in the same way, this is an angel that has to do with art, agriculture and the countryside. So I really recommend those of you that are dealing with, working with this stuff, go spend a little time outside, or if you happen to even look at the trees or think of nature and think of Habuiah. Okay. So, and then I just wanted to read about this angel real quick. Habuiah. All right. So, Habuiah. Let me see here. So, the Shem angel, this is what I posted on Facebook. The Shem angel, that governs from the sun has entered 5 degrees of Pisces in tropical astrology. The Shem angel that governs 5 degrees until 10 degrees of Pisces is Habuiah. Okay, according to the Oedipus Egyptiacus, Habuiah is from the order of angels. Okay, and then the attribute of God is Deus Liberalissimus Dator, God the giver of freedom, or God the giver of utmost freedom. So again, now each person can interpret their work with the Shem angels however they choose, okay? Some of these elements are Judeo-Christian in nature, okay? But we're looking at the traditional lore of the Shem angels, okay? We're looking at the history of the Shem angels, okay? And understanding a little bit about the history and about their historical lore, then people can interpret that into their own practice. But each of the 72 Shem angels has a divine attribute. The divine attributes are like the divine qualities of God that is expressed in the angel. Okay, so the divine attribute, now these are listed, the Psalm verse and the divine attributes are listed in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Egyptiacus, which was published in 1654. Okay, so according to Oedipus Egyptiacus, Habuiah is of the order of angels. And the attribute of God is Deus liberalissimus dator, God the giver of utmost freedom. God the giver of utmost freedom. Okay, so clearly, so you thinking of the attribute and the psalm verse and the name, okay, and the office, this is kind of how you start to get a picture and a feel for the energies of the angel. So these are things to be meditated upon. So, like, for example, if you make a Shem angel pentacle, that could just be used as a way to connect you with the angel, or a way to communicate, or even sigil scry if you wanted to use a modern method of sigil scrying. But also, with the pentacle, you also have everything present there. You have the name of the angel, you have the psalm verse, perhaps optionally the divine attribute. So these things you reflect upon the verse and the name and the attribute, and that is kind of a meditative approach, okay? Because we have two different approaches to the Shem angels. We have the ceremonial way, the ceremonial or outer external ritual way. Okay, you do it through external rituals, through the incense and the candles. Okay, and then there's more of a contemplative way, maybe more internal. Look at the symbols, think on the verse, think of the attribute, think of the name. Let these things, turn these things in your mind. Maybe pray, speak to the angel. You might light a candle, a little incense, and do that's more of a devotional, kind of an internal, kind of a contemplative type of approach. Okay, so there are different approaches, different ways of working with things, okay. Let's see. All right here. So, okay. Someone's asking me about a magic current that I was, initiated in. To be honest, you have to be more specific, because I've worked with quite a lot of different things. Okay. But I don't know, maybe I don't always want to like put all of that out like on the internet, like all of my stuff, like what I've been working with, but you're asking about a magic current I was working with a few years ago. Let me see. I don't know. You'd have to be more specific than that, because I was working with a lot of different things. All right, y'all. So, Habuiah, like I said, governs agriculture and like the countryside and gardens, things like that. Okay, so how do you interpret that? You couldn't take that literally, maybe have something to ask for with gardens or something like that. Or you could also think of it as like fertility. What are you trying to build? Are you trying to build a business? Are you trying to like plant a seed and harvest? Are you trying to build something in your life? You could try that, okay, and see what kind of results you get. And you'll see over time through experiment, like how literally should you take the office, okay? How much can you start? You'll see through experience like what really works for you with that. Okay. Some people find that sticking more literally to the office, and some people find that they can get a little bit of leeway there. Okay, but basically fertility and agriculture. But could we use that in other types of fertility? Is the thing. So basically, Habuiah governs agriculture and fertility. The person born under this influence will love the countryside, hunting, gardens, and everything related to agriculture. The divine attribute embodied, Deus liberalissimus dator, God the giver of utmost freedom. And the psalm verse, again, every Shem angel has a psalm verse. The psalm verse associated in the English based on the Masoretic text. Psalm 106 verse 1. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Okay, that's the psalm verse given in Athanasius Kircher. That's his Oedipus Aegyptiacus, which is a 17th century text. Okay, so in the Oedipus Aegyptiacus, the psalm verse. Now, what is the rule? It's interesting that if you look at a lot of these Hebrew psalm verses, the psalm verses that are assigned to the Shem angels, you'll notice that the 3 letters of the name of the angel, okay, the 3 letters of the divine name, for example, Habuiah, okay, Habuiah, the 3 letters are Het, Beit, and Vav. Okay, Habuiah. So the 3 letters that in the divine name, these 3 letters, basically, the three letters in whatever name of the angel, if you look in the Hebrew of the psalm verse, it should be around a tetragram. Normally, you'll see around, in other words, a yod he vav he in Hebrew, you'll see that next to the 3 letters of the angel name, okay? So in this case, you'll see a het, beit, and a vav close to a tetragram in the Hebrew of the psalm verse. That's kind of like the rule. So in other words, the psalm verse attributions are not just random. Okay, normally there's a reason because of 3 letters. And they're supposed to reveal something about the qualities of the angel. Okay, so the psalm verse is, oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. And again, the divine attribute, Deus liberalissimus dator, God the giver of the utmost freedom. Again, the angel governs agriculture and fertility. The person born under this influence will love the countryside, hunting, gardens, and everything related to agriculture. So this Shem angel governs for the next 5 days. So I encourage people to work with this, and according to what does the divine Cabal say? What is the divine Cabal? So we're looking at different sources here. The office is taken from Lazar Lenain's Science of Kabbalah, or La Science Kabbalistique, the Science of Kabbalah by Lazar Lenain, the office. The psalm verse, divine attribute are taken from Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Aegyptiacus, published in 1654. And then we have the divine Cabal. What does the divine Cabal say? The divine Cabal says, which is a grimoire for dream magic with the 72 Shem angels. Okay, it's a grimoire from the 1800s, the 19th century. That was like a dream magic grimoire with the Shem angels. The divine Cabal says of this angel, Habuiah governs from the 23rd of February to the 27th inclusively. I'm quoting right now, I'm reading from the divine Cabal. The divine Cabal says, Habuiah governs from the 23rd of February to the 27th inclusively. The verse from whence is derived his name is the first verse of the 106th Psalm. Confess to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Okay, so that was a little bit about Habuiah. All right. Now, if you're following through these videos, we also are working through geomancy. Now, if y'all are watching these videos, I encourage y'all to practice the magic. I encourage y'all to try. I encourage everyone to do this. Try over the next 5 days, try working with Habuiah, okay? Try working with Habuiah over the next 5 days. Think of something that you could ask for within his office. Now, he governs agriculture, gardens, things like that. So basically, we could think of a request if maybe you have a garden or you have something you could ask literal like that. Or you could, if nothing else, think of some place that you want more fertility in your life. Where do you want more fertility? Do you want fertility in your business? Do you want more business growth? Do you want more growth? What kind of fertility are you wanting to bring in? What do you want more of? Okay, more abundance or fertility in your life. So you could try that, okay, which it is stretching the office a little bit perhaps, and see what happens, see what kind of results that y'all get. Okay. So, governs agriculture and fertility, so you could try to look at the fertility aspect, or you can try literally asking for something with agriculture. But either way, over the next 5 days, the angel is Habuiah. And I encourage everyone out there that's watching to try working with that angel over the next 5 days, okay? If nothing else, just simple prayer. Now, traditionally, the psalm verse goes with the name of the angel as part of the call. So normally you would say the angel's name several times while trying to establish contact and then recite the psalm verse. Okay, so that is the traditional approach. I do teach a traditional approach with the Shem angels, and a lot of what I focus on is based upon classical 16th and 17th century sources, as well as taking a look at what Lazar Linane has to say about some of the offices and some of his timing. So we take kind of a broad look at the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh over the centuries to kind of look at the tradition. Now, I do kind of give a traditional by the book approach, but people can do with that whatever they like. Okay. So the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh. So I really encourage anyone out there watching, try working with this angel at home. Try it out. We're doing this together. Okay. Everyone around the world that works with this form of timing is now starting to work with Habuiah, and people are going to be tapping into this angel around the world. People are going to start working with this angel over the next 5 days. So all of us together can start tapping into this angel and start bringing in those energies, okay? So think of it this way. When we are working with this angel, we're helping to bring in its energies. We're helping to attune, okay? And maybe we could bring in more light into this world, in the process. So I really encourage people at home, try it out. Try working with Habuiah over the next 5 days and see what happens. And I encourage y'all to go outside, go look at nature a little bit and think of Habuiah. Okay, think of that quality and think of freedom. Okay, think of liberation and freedom and being outside. Kind of turn the associations in your mind. Okay, and pray, talk to the angel. Now, we are doing angel magic together, right? We're Renaissance angel magicians. You and all of y'all listening, and we're Renaissance angel magicians, right? I know that y'all are doing the angel magic at home, okay? I know y'all are already angel magicians doing all this magic with me. Y'all are also geomancers, okay? Because if you're following along in these videos, we are actually doing geomancy together. Now, on Monday, we're going to start going into shield charts. Okay. So this will be the last of just our regular geomancy videos, where we just talk, we draw one figure together. Okay. And then we look at it and analyze it. This is the last of those videos, because this is Friday. This is the last video of the week. Now on Monday, okay, we get a couple days breaks. On Monday, we're going to start going into shield charts. Okay. And we're going to start looking at what do these texts from the 16th century say about geomancy. Okay, so right now we are reading through the the fourth book of Agrippa, or Pseudo Agrippa, the fourth book of Agrippa, and Agrippa's book on geomancy. This is a text from the 16th century. So we're practicing geomancy based on 16th century texts. Okay. So if y'all want to do this with me, okay, I encourage everyone, if you have a pen and paper, you're going to need a pen and paper if you're doing this here. We're going to do divination together. All right. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready to do some Renaissance divination? So what you'll need to do is think of a question. Okay. Now, when you're doing a divination, it's very important to think of how you're wording your question well. You want to word it well. Okay. And sometimes even thinking about the proper way to word a question, even there you can get a little hint as to what you're looking for. Okay. So what do you want to know about? Okay. Think about that. And take your pen and paper, and we are going to draw a geomantic figure. Okay. So everyone get a pen and paper, and we're going to do this together. Okay. So what do y'all think about this format? It's an interesting way to do these videos, you know. I encourage people to do magic at home. Okay, we're doing this together. We're all doing this angel magic together. I know y'all are doing this at home. We are a bunch of angel magician mages watching this and doing this together, okay? And we are fellow geomancers, okay? All right. So everyone's got a pen and paper. So think of your question, and we're going to make 4 rows of dots, okay? So take your pen and paper, do a row of dots, and then underneath that another row of dots, and then we're going to do 4 rows, okay? I'm going to think of a question real quick. Okay, let me see here. All right, I've thought of my question, and now we're going to take our pen and paper, and we're going to make 4 rows of dots. Focus on your question and make 4 rows of dots. I'm going to do it too while focusing on my question. I'll wait on y'all to finish. Okay, 4 rows of dots. Focus on your question and make 4 rows of dots. Okay? And I have mine. Focus on your question and make 4 rows of dots. This is all that you need to do to make a geomantic figure and be a geomancer. It's very simple. Okay? 4 rows of dots are your question. Now, everyone's done, and we will take a look at these figures. Okay? We're going to take a look at these. What did we get? I really encourage people to write down their question too, so that you don't forget. Okay? So let's take a look. What do we get? You count the dots in each row. If you get an even number of dots, then that becomes 2 dots in your geomantic figure. If you count an odd number of dots in a row, it becomes 1 dot. Okay, so let's take a look. You have your 4 rows of dots. Count the number of dots in the top row. I'm going to count the number of dots in my top row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is an even number, so the top of my geomantic figure is 2. Okay, if it's even, it's 2. If it's odd, it's 1. So I've counted the number of dots in my top row, and I counted 6 dots in mine. And that's an even number. Even is 2. All right. I count the second row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is an even number. Even numbers become 2 dots in the geomantic figure. All right, now I'm going to count the third row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is an odd number. Odd numbers become 1 dot. And now I'm going to count the number of dots in the bottom row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is an even number. Even numbers become 2 dots, okay? So my geomantic figure, in answer to my question, is albus. Albus. And if you look at it, it looks like a goblet, okay? You could see the wine stem or stem of the goblet, and then the cup itself, the vessel. It's a cup. It's albus, okay? And that's actually really good with my the question that I had. So what did y'all get? What did you get? Okay. So again, you count up the numbers of dots in each row. If you get an odd number of dots, it becomes 1 in your geomantic figure. If you get an even number, it's 2. Me, in my figure, I got 2, 2, 1, 2. Because the top row of my was even, and then second row even, third row odd, next row even, okay? So, what did y'all get? Okay, Fabian got acquisitio. That is excellent. That is a very good figure. Acquisitio is associated with Sagittarius and with Jupiter. With good fortune and good luck, it's gain. Acquisitio, you can look, it looks like 2 cups to receive, okay? Acquisitio is gain and profit, and very, very good. Acquisitio is excellent. Okay, acquisitio is ruled by Jupiter, which is the greater fortune, and acquisitio is Jupiter is most fortunate. Okay, and then Letitia, and, you know, then you have Letitia and Pisces, but acquisitio is Sagittarius. So Daniel Rosario, let's see, 1, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so you have Letitia. Letitia means joy and gladness. Joy and gladness. That represents joy and happiness and gladness. Letitia is the figure that you drew. So whatever you asked about, that sounds pretty positive to me. If you ask me, that sounds pretty positive. You drew Letitia, which is joy and happiness and gladness. Okay. Daniel says, how do you interpret from the dots to a meaning or word? Because there are 16 geomantic figures, okay? There's 16 different geomantic figures, and they're different arrangements of the dots. Each one is symbolic, okay? So, for example, each day I talk about a different geomantic figure. Today, I'm actually talking about Rubeus. Okay, each day I talk about a different figure. So this is an example. Rubeus is a specific figure. So each figure is very specific and has a specific meaning. There's 16 different figures, and each one is symbolic. And whether or not someone believes in divination or getting their future read or not, or answers to questions, okay, I do believe in these things and I practice. But those that believe that, they what they do is we, even if people don't believe, the symbol, each of these characters has a symbolic deep meaning. Okay, Rubeus, as an example, is associated with Scorpio and Mars. Each figure has an elemental and also an astrological association. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Daniel says, thank you. This is a wonderful introduction to your work. I appreciate your teaching style and explanations, kind sir. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So basically there's 16 different figures, okay? Like today it's Rubeus, but each one has a different like astrological association and elemental structure, and each one represents different things. So what you do in geomancy is you think of a question and you make, 4 rows of dots, and you count the number of dots in each row. If it's an odd number of dots, then it becomes a 1 in your figure. If it's an even number of dots, then it becomes a 2. So in this case, Rubeus, we have 2, a 1, a 2, and a 2. Now, all geomantic figures, you have what are called 4 lines that compose every figure. At the top, this is called the head line, the head of the figure. The head of Rubeus is 2. The second line is called the neck. The neck of Rubeus is 1. The third line is called the body, and this is called the feet line. The body and the feet line are both composed of 2. Another way to look at the 4 lines is elemental. The top is always the fire line. The fire line of Rubeus is 2. The second line is called the air line. The air line of Rubeus is 1. And then the third line is the water, which is 2 in Rubeus, and the earth line is 2. So we have head, neck, body, and feet, or fire, air, water, and earth. Okay. Now, Rubeus, 2 represents passive and 1 represents active. So the only active element in Rubeus is the air line. Rubeus can be seen graphically as a goblet turned upside down. It's basically a cup or a goblet turned upside down. You could see the stem of the glass. What I drew was the opposite of Rubeus, which is albus. Albus, you could see, looks like a cup. It has the stem of the handle of the glass, and up here the cup. That's albus. This is ruled by Mercury, it's detachment, all this. Rubeus is passion and ruled by Mars. And Rubeus is albus upside down. It's the opposite of albus. This is a goblet or a cup, a chalice turned upside down with the handle up, okay? Turned upside down. Rubeus. Rubeus means red Rubeus means red in Latin. And Rubeus is ruled by Scorpio and Mars, and this has to do with passion. But also Rubeus can represent destruction as well. Rubeus is often that geomantic figure that people do not want to get. Every form of divination, there's 1 or 2 figures that no one ever wants to get. Okay, like in tarot, most people don't like getting the death card or the devil or the tower. Okay, people loathe getting the tower. Rubeus is the same type of way. In geomancy, Rubeus often is destruction and ruin and things like that. But Rubeus also could just represent lots of passion. Okay, this is ruled by Mars, so sometimes there could be aggression and things like that. Rubeus is passion, but often we make mistakes when we have a lot of passion. And think of it this way, Rubeus represents a cup upside down. Someone drank it all. So you could think of this as a wine glass. It's like they drank it all and now they're drunk. And the passion, okay? So it's ruled by Mars. It could represent anger. It could also represent sexuality too. This is associated with Scorpio in the 8th house. Rubeus is ruled by Scorpio. In the anatomy of the body, it's associated with the genitals or reproductive organs, Rubeus. So Rubeus is actually a good figure if you're talking about sexuality, or sexual energy. Rubeus is generally good. So Rubeus is not always bad. Rubeus is just about transformation, okay? But Rubeus could also be a destructive thing to get. Often it represents a lot of passion. If what you're asking about has to do with in passion is a good thing, then that's good. It's passion and it's drive and it's energy, but this could also be like a destructive card. It's associated with Scorpio, and note that in a lot of traditions like the Day of the Dead or Samhain or Halloween or Dia de los Muertos or whatever else or Fedgede, and a lot of traditions like the time of death happens in the time of Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio is basically, yeah, it's transformation associated with reproduction and all of that. So that is Rubeus. Okay, it represents lots of passion, and oftentimes it could be a negative foretelling of something destructive or something sudden and destructive happening. Okay, it's ruled by Mars. And also a lot of passion. But it could be a good thing to get if you just need a lot of passion and drive. Okay. So, let me see here. Daniel says, may I ask where one would find a source to find these 16 figures and learn about them? Sure. I'll actually recommend some books. Art of Geomancy by John Michael Greer is very good. Art of Geomancy. And there's an excellent book on geomancy by Dr. Stephen Skinner as well. Right now, I don't have all the links and everything, but when I finish the video, I'm actually going to add a whole description to the video whenever I finish. If you check back, I'll have different books and things that you can get, okay? The Art of Geomancy by Greer is very good, and there's also an excellent one by Stephen Skinner that I highly recommend. And of course, these excellent videos that I'm putting out for all of y'all. All right. Half kidding. All right. You're very welcome. So today, now I don't want people to get intimidated or anything, but today we're going to push through this old literature. Anyone can do it. Anyone can work through this old literature. Okay. So right now we're working through the 16th century book on geomancy associated with Agrippa. So actually give me just 1 second. I'll be right back and we'll get started on that. All right, so I have this here. So we are, and I'm actually going to give a links to this in the description. Once I finish the video, I'll add the links. And by the way, the links that I provide are commissioned. So I do get a commission if you click the Amazon links that I provide, or you can just look it up on your own. Either way, you don't have to use the links that I provide. But if you want to, let me see here, but I do get a commission off the Amazon links. It's part of the monetization of my channel. So here we go. All right. So today we're reading Henry Cornelius Agrippa on geomancy. Henry Cornelius Agrippa on geomancy. I'm going to provide links to this book for those that want to purchase it. Henry Cornelius Agrippa on geomancy. Now, this may or may not have been written by Agrippa. Okay, it may or may not. Okay, this is often referred to as pseudo-Agrippa. Whatever the case may be, it was written in the 16th century. Okay, it is a book from the 1500s. Okay, from the time of Shakespeare, of William Shakespeare, actually. This is from the time of Shakespeare. It's a book on geomancy. So we're reading the classic text. Okay, so if you have a book, then I encourage you to flip to the beginning. Henry Cornelius Agrippa of geomancy. All right, and I'll provide links when I finish the show. I'll provide links and if y'all want to buy a copy. Okay. Henry Cornelius Agrippa of Geomancy. Again, this is a book from the 16th century. Okay. This is from the 1500s. So we're now reading a Renaissance book on geomancy, which is what we just did. We just drew geomantic figures. Okay. So now we're going to read an old book on it. Geomancy is an art of divination, whereby the judgment may be rendered by lot or destiny to every question of everything whatsoever. But the art hereof consisteth especially in certain points whereof certain figures are deducted, according to the reason or rule of equality or inequality, likeness or unlikeness, which figures are also reduced to the celestial figures, affirming their natures and proprieties, according to the course and forms of the signs and planets. Notwithstanding this, in the first place we are to consider, that whereas this kind of art can declare or show forth nothing of verity, unless it shall be radical in some sublime virtue, and this the authors of this science have demonstrated to be twofold. So Agrippa is here talking about, or pseudo-Agrippa is talking about, where does the power of geomancy come from? He says it's twofold. The one whereof consists in religion and ceremonies, and thereby they will have the projectings of the points of this art to be made with signs in the earth. Wherefore this art is appropriated to this element of earth, even as pyromancy to the fire and hydromancy to the element of water. Then whereas they judge the hand of the projector or worker to be most powerfully moved and directed to the terrestrial spirits, and therefore they first use certain holy incantations and deprecations, with other rites and observations, provoking and alluring spirits of this nature hereunto. So here Agrippa, or pseudo-Agrippa, says that you can talk to the spirit, elemental spirits of earth, that you can use a stick and mark in the ground and use it to communicate with elemental spirits of earth. Okay, so this is a way that Agrippa in the pseudo-Agrippa in the 1500s says, with a stick, marking it in the ground, you can talk to earth spirits, elemental spirits of earth, and that's where you can get the information. Or, of course, you can ask planetary intelligences or spirits. Agrippa continues, another power there is that doth direct and rule this lot or fortune, which is in the very soul itself of the projector. When he is carried to this work with some great egress of his own desire, for this art hath a natural obedience to the soul itself, and of necessity hath efficacy and is moved to that which the soul itself desires. He's talking about the soul. There's power in spirits. So Agrippa's saying you can use geomancy to talk to spirits, or you can use, the knowledge can come from your own soul, the soul itself, okay? So Agrippa here is basically, or pseudo-Agrippa, whoever wrote this in the 1500s, is basically saying that how can you tell the future with a bunch of dots? Well, you could be talking to spirits, and he specifically talks about talking to earth elementals, okay? Or you can talk through your own soul, your own higher self, that divine spark within you, your unconscious, however you want to interpret that, okay? So I'm going to back up and let's read that again. Actually, let's go through this whole thing again. This part. The authors of this science have demonstrated to be twofold. The one whereof consists in religion and ceremonies, and therefore they will have the projectings of the points of this art to be made in the signs in the earth. Wherefore this art is appropriated to this element of earth, even as pyromancy to the fire and hydromancy to the element of water. Then, whereas they judge the hand of the projector or worker to be most powerfully moved and directed to the terrestrial spirits, and therefore they first use certain holy incantations and deprecations, with other rites and observations, provoking and alluring spirits of this nature hereunto. Another power there is that doth direct and rule this lot or fortune, which is in the very soul itself of the projector, when he is carried to this work with some great egress of his own desire. For this art hath a natural obedience to the soul itself, and of necessity hath efficacy and is moved to that which the soul itself desires. And this way is by far more true and pure, neither matters it where or how these points are projected. Therefore this art hath the same radix with the art of astrological questions, which also can no otherwise be verified, unless with a constant and excessive affection of the querent himself. Now then, that we may proceed to the praxis of this art, first it is to be known that all figures upon which this whole art is founded are only 16, as in the following table you shall see noted with their names. Now, Agrippa gives the 16 geomantic figures. Agrippa gives the 16 geomantic figures in 8 pairs. 8 pairs. So each of the 7 planets has 2 figures. Each of the 7 planets has 2 figures, and then there's head and tail of the dragon. So here the sun has Fortuna, the greater fortune and lesser fortune, okay? Fortuna major and Fortuna minor, or both associated with the sun, okay? Both Populus and Habuiah are both associated with the moon, all right? So both Acquisitio and Letitia are associated with Jupiter. So each of the 7 planets has 2. So the sun has 2, the moon has 2, okay, Jupiter has 2, all of them have 2. And then Cauda and Caput Draconis, okay? So there are 7 pairs. Each of the 7 planets has 2 geomantic figures. For example, Via and Populus are both associated with the moon, okay? Or Letitia and Acquisitio associated with Jupiter. Or Fortuna major and Fortuna minor both associated with the sun, okay? All right, so we move on here. Now we proceed to declare with what planets these figures are distributed. Now Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa is about to go into the 16 geomantic figures, okay? We're going into the 16 geomantic figures. Here we go. Now we proceed to declare with what planets these figures are distributed. For hereupon all the propriety and nature of figures and the judgment of the whole art dependeth. Therefore the greater and lesser fortune are ascribed to the sun. But the first or greater fortune is when the sun is diurnal, and posited in his dignities. The other or lesser fortune is when the sun is nocturnal, or placed in less dignities. Via and Populus, that is the way and people, are referred to the moon. The first from her beginning and increasing, the second from her full light and quarter decreasing. Acquisitio and Letitia, which is gain, profit, and joy and gladness, are of Jupiter. But the first hath Jupiter the greater fortune, the second the less, but without detriment. Puella and Amicio are of Venus, the first fortunate, the other as it were retrograde or combust. Conjunctio and Albus are both figures of Mercury, and are both good, but the first the more fortunate. Puer and Rubeus are figures ascribed to Mars, the first whereof hath Mars benevolent, the second malevolent. Carcer and Tristitia are both figures of Saturn, and both evil, but the first of the greater detriment. The dragon's head and the dragon's tail do follow their own natures, okay? Now that all very much fits with everything that we've been talking about, okay? Now Agrippa continues here. And these are the infallible comparisons of the figures, and from these we may easily discern the equality of their signs. Therefore the greater and lesser fortunes have the signs of Leo, which is the house of the sun. Via and Populus have the sign of Cancer, which is the house of the moon. Acquisitio hath for his sign Pisces, and Letitia Sagittarius, which are both the houses of Jupiter. Puella hath the sign of Taurus, and Amicio of Libra. Now it's interesting, here Agrippa switches from how we've been doing things. Puella is Libra and Amicio is Taurus. So it's interesting. There are different traditions, okay? But Agrippa here says, Puella hath the sign of Taurus and Amicio of Libra, which are of the houses of Venus. Conjunctio has for its sign Virgo, and Albus the sign Gemini, the houses of Mercury. Puella and Rubeus have their sign Scorpio, the house of Mars. So see, there's some differences. Carcer hath the sign of Capricorn, and Tristitia Aquarius, the houses of Saturn. The dragon's head and tail are thus divided. The head to Capricorn, and the dragon's tail adhereth to Scorpio. And from hence you may easily obtain the triplicities of the signs, after the manner of the triplicities of the signs of the zodiac. Puer therefore both fortunes and Letitia do govern the fiery triplicity. Puella, Conjunctio, Carcer, and the dragon's head, the earthly triplicity. Albus, Amicio, and Tristitia do make the airy triplicity. And Via, Populus, and Rubeus with the dragon's tail, and Acquisitio do rule the watery triplicity. And this order is taken according to the course or manner of the signs. Now, Agrippa here is about to go into some weird ways of doing things. So the way that we read geomancy in these videos was the first way, essentially. But now Agrippa's about to go into all these different ways. So there's no one right or wrong way of reading the geomantic figures, okay? But we have to understand is that over the centuries, there evolved many traditions on what the figures mean, okay? So some of what Agrippa says here, first Agrippa gives several ways of doing things, okay? The first he mentioned is kind of what we've been using. Now he's going to start going into some kind of wonky, some different territory, okay? Totally different attributions of the 16 figures. So I don't want to confuse people, but he's going to be given totally opposite and totally different attributions to the 16 figures. So there's a word of warning. Now, we get back to the text. So here we go. But if anyone will constitute these triplicities according to the natures of the planets and figures themselves, let him observe this rule, that Fortuna Major, Rubeus, Puer, and Amicio do make the fiery triplicity. Fortuna Minor, Puella, Letitia, and Conjunctio, triplicity of air. Acquisitio, the dragon's tail, Via, and Populus do govern the watery triplicity. And the earthly triplicity is ruled by Carcer, Tristitia, Albus, and the dragon's head. And this way is rather to be observed than the first which we have set forth, because it is constituted according to the rule and manner of the signs. This order is also far more true and rational than that which vulgarly is used, which is described after this manner. Of the fiery triplicity are Cauda, Fortuna Minor, Amicio, and Rubeus. Of the airy triplicity are Acquisitio, Letitia, Puer, and Conjunctio. Of the watery triplicity are Populus, Via, Albus, and Puella. And Caput, Fortuna Major, Carcer, and Tristitia are the earthly triplicity. They do likewise distribute these figures to the 12 signs of the zodiac, after this manner. Acquisitio, now this is totally different than the way that we read these. So these zodiac signs are totally off from how we do it. in these videos, okay? So again, they're different systems, so that's just a word of warning. I don't want to confuse people, but this is going to be totally different than how we do it. They do likewise distribute these figures to the 12 signs of the zodiac after this manner. Acquisitio is given to Aries, Fortuna, both major and minor, to Taurus, Letitia to the sign Gemini, Puella and Rubeus to Cancer. Albus is assigned to Leo, Via to Virgo, the Dragon's Head and Conjunctio to Libra. Puer is submitted to Scorpio, Tristitia and Amicio are assigned to Sagittarius. The Dragon's Tail to Capricorn, Populus to Aquarius, and Carcer is assigned the sign Pisces. All right, here we go. And now we come to speak of the manner of projecting or setting down these figures, which is thus, that we set down the points according to their course in 4 lines, from the right hand towards the left, and this in 4 oh, nope, that's getting into the 4 mothers, that's getting into the shield charts. We're going to continue this tomorrow, and we're going to go into how to do a shield chart. So if you guys have been following me this far, okay, if you guys have been following me this far in these videos, every day we draw one geomantic figure together, okay? Every day we draw a geomantic figure. We did it today. What did y'all get? Okay, I gave description in this video. Every day as an exercise, we've been drawing one geomantic figure. Now, I'm about to take, tomorrow will be my day off, Saturday. I'm going to take a day off. Sunday, I'm going to do a video in Spanish. Okay, so Sunday will be a video in Spanish to start off my week. I feel bad because like I want to also do stuff for my Spanish-speaking audience. But already doing this 5 days a week in English, that's a lot. Okay, at least an hour a day. At least an hour a day, 5 days a week is a lot. Plus Spanish on the weekends. So I'm still structuring that out. But Sunday, I'm starting off my week in Spanish. Okay, I'm starting off my week. I'm starting Sundays in Spanish. Monday, we are going to make a shield chart, okay? So this is the progression that we're going through these videos. Hopefully, you guys have been doing the geomantic figure with me. If you have, then we're going to take a rest for a couple of days, and I'll see you guys on Monday, and we're going to do a shield chart together, okay? So this is going to be the beginning of doing a more elaborate reading based on a shield chart, okay? We're going to be full-blown geomancers and Renaissance angel magicians. And I encourage all of y'all at home, I encourage y'all to work with Habuiah, which is the angel that governs over the next 5 days, okay? Right now, many people are working with Habuiah over the next 5 days, okay? And this is consonant with the tradition of the divine cabal and things like that, okay? So, Habuiah, okay? Go out there and attune to nature, look at the trees, think of Habuiah, because he governs the countryside and agriculture and fertility. Think about this angel, pray to this angel, ask for something in this angel's office, okay? And let me know if you have any cool experiences, okay? We are doing angel magic together, okay? And we're going to share our experiences. People have been having experiences with the 72 Shem angels for centuries. Okay, this is part of a technology that people have been following to communicate with the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephoresh. Many people talk about their powers and virtues and how their whole lives have changed based upon them. So I encourage people to try it out. Try working with Habuiah over the next 5 days. I'm off tomorrow. Tomorrow I take as a 1 single day of rest. Tomorrow's my 1 day of rest. Sunday I will do a Spanish video on Sunday, and I may put it on my main channel. Last time I didn't put it on my main channel. This one I should, I think. Sunday will be and then Monday I'll see you guys in English on Monday. We're gonna start doing shield charts, okay, and we're gonna continue. So that is it. Let me take a look at these comments here. Fabian says, could you please add the link for the Athanasius Kircher Oedipus Aegyptiacus book? Absolutely. Now, the thing about Oedipus Aegyptiacus is it's all in Latin. There is no good English translation. We need that, okay? Scholars need to step it up a notch. We need a good English translation of Oedipus Aegyptiacus. But I have the Latin. And by the way, Fabian, I can go over that with you, how to read the PDF, so that you can use it as a reference manual. Okay, it's in Latin, but he has the psalm verses and the divine attributes and the angel names and numbers. So I'm going to show all of that. Anyways, let's see what else here. I thank you, and I hope you have a great weekend. So I know the timing, at first I was doing this every morning. I'm not very good with time, but I think I could at least do a video every day. And that's my goal. Every day. I'm not going to be sure of the time each day, but every day I'm going to try to make a video. Okay. 5 days a week. Okay. I'm trying to go strong for you guys and try to get a lot of content out. And, anyways, that's it. I'll see you guys on Monday. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I'll see y'all on Monday. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to take a day off, and Sunday there will be a video in Spanish, and I'll see y'all in English on Monday. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you so much for joining, and I really appreciate everyone that took the time to watch my content. Have a great weekend, everybody.